I'm Mark Turner, and I'm the Extension Wildlife Specialist at Oklahoma State University, and today we're going to be talking about supplemental feeding of wildlife. Certainly there's a lot of landowners and property owners that are really interested in providing forage for their animals, and certainly it feels good to provide food and see animals using that, and there can be some opportunities for viewing wildlife that come from providing food. But there are some real negatives that you need to consider if you're thinking about providing supplemental forage for wildlife, especially if you're thinking about doing it during the summertime. First, there are some problems associated with wildlife diseases that may be a real issue that oftentimes gets overlooked. Specifically, when you're feeding something like corn to animals in the summertime, whenever the temperatures are hot, there's actually a fungus that can grow on that corn and produce a toxin called aflatoxin. And there are some real issues, especially with young wildlife that might eat that are smaller, that can't handle as high of toxin loads. And there can be some direct mortality from that, as well as animals just feeling sick and sluggish, and there may be some other negative effects. So certainly we don't recommend feeding corn during the summertime because that corn getting that toxin on it is a problem. But even if you're providing some other forages, there are some real problems associated with them. For example, if you're providing supplemental feed in one location, such as out of either a feeder or a bait site, a lot of the time you're also attracting predators as well as animals you're trying to feed. So for example, if you're providing corn in an area and you're attracting things like raccoons, while also attracting animals like wild turkeys or quail that you may be trying to benefit, you're putting those animals together at a time when they're pretty vulnerable. And oftentimes turkey and quail nests that are located associated with feeders are relatively more likely to be predated because, again, those animals are being attracted to that, and you're going to have more raccoons in that general area. So we're not only potentially having negative direct effects, we're also potentially putting predators and prey species in direct contact with each other because they're both being attracted to that food source. Finally, the other thing to consider is that a lot of the feed sources that we'd be providing during the growing season, especially something like corn, but even something like a protein pellet that we might be thinking about to feed deer, there actually are a lot higher quality native plants out there that if we just use practices such as prescribed fire to promote, we can end up having better forage for the deer out there than what we could buy in a bag at a much less expensive cost. So again, although there may be some perceived benefits from supplemental feeding, really consider whether or not the benefits outweigh the cost, both monetarily as well as negative effects on wildlife species. So for more information on problems associated with supplemental feeding of wildlife, check out the SunUp website.